Hello and welcome to another edition of Bourbon and Bullets. If you have been watching this content, whether you're a returning subscriber or a new subscriber, please make sure that you are in fact still subscribed. YouTube has been unsubscribing people about almost as fast as they subscribe. They're so desperate to shut down my new channel after shutting down my old channel. I'm obviously not nearly at the size that my old channel was, but I hope those of you out there who are discovering it or rediscovering it will continue to subscribe. So please go ahead and hit that red button right now, and then click the notice bell. That helps in preventing YouTube from unsubscribing you. Okay, so on with the topic at hand. Idiot boy, sock boy, man-child, aka, sadly, the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, is doing what he does best, apologizing and crying, this time for the verdict in the Colton Boushie trial. Now, I don't know how many, if you're one of my American viewers, maybe you're not too familiar with it. What happened was a group of Indian boys, First Nations boys, Aboriginals, whatever you want to call them. If you are Aboriginal, they tend to call themselves Indian. So let's just go with Indian. A bunch of Indian boys. They were out. This is in rural Saskatchewan. So they were out at the local swimming hole drinking all day, and then proceeded to drive home. All of them drunk out of their minds. They got a flat tire, and of course, like most law-abiding citizens, their answer to a flat tire is not to get out and fix it, but no, we'll just go to a nearby farm and steal a truck. So they tried to steal a truck, and were unsuccessful in that bid, but they did in the process steal a gun. Then they moseyed on over to Gerald Stanley's family farm, where he was asleep, along with his wife and children, only to be roused in the middle of the night by a group of Aboriginal Indian drunken young men trying to steal his truck, trying to steal his ATV. So he came out onto the front porch or the front of the house with a .22 handgun, not an overly potent weapon, but enough to hopefully scare them away. He fired a few shots in the air, and then apparently there was a what do they call it? Hang ammunition, where he fired two, and then a bullet went off spontaneously and went through the front windshield of the truck and hit Colton Boushie in the forehead, and he died. Now, of course, it's tragic when any young man dies. Now, but okay, look, if he wasn't out trying to steal his truck with a firearm, he'd still be alive. So now we have all we have the Prime Minister talking about the pain of the verdict, and then the Minister of Justice, who is also Aboriginal, Jody Wilson-Raybould, who immediately is now trying to have the justice system changed so that, of course, this can never happen again. If it ever happens again, where a white farmer wants to defend himself against a group of rampaging, drunken Indian men, he will not be allowed to do so. He will just have to suffer the consequences, him being perhaps beaten to death, having his property stolen, perhaps having his family beaten, possibly killed. But, they're white, so, what, what does it matter? I mean, if a bunch of drunken white men stumbled onto anyone's property and terrorized them, and then one of them was shot by somebody justifiably trying to protect his home and family, where would be the outrage? There wouldn't be any outrage. We'd all be saying, well, I mean, we don't like to see people get killed, but I mean, the guy had it coming. I mean, don't get drunk and try and terrorize people in their homes. It's sort of the simple answer. But because of the obviously race connotation. But this is the problem. This is the problem with all of this, with affirmative action, and in Canada the Truth and Reconciliation Project. It's like, yes, there were injustices in the past and they were horrible, but we've moved on. We don't have to keep apologizing. We don't have to change our entire legal system so that white farmers or anybody really justifiably protecting their home and family will be railroaded into a prison sentence um, when the people that they were protecting themselves against were criminal. And one, if not several, of the Indians, not Colton Bushi himself, but his companions, were on parole. They were already criminals. Um, so this is the ongoing insanity of the Trudeau administration. It can't end soon enough, but God, the damage that they may do before we ever get rid of them. And if they're reelected, God help us, because Canada will not be able to survive a second term of just an idiot boy Trudeau. This also goes hand in hand, this willingness to change the justice system in the name of so-called social justice, which isn't justice at all. It is just government tyranny, is the appointment of activist female judges, which has happened in the last couple of years in both British Columbia and Ontario, and with the accompanying cheerleading from the leftist corrupt press about how, oh, now women will get their day in court. Well, so what you're saying is that already men who are never believed when it comes to false rape accusations, not only will they not be believed, but they won't be given due process, so they'll be thrown in jail. Because as we saw with the hijab hoax girl, that even though she was a liar and it was a complete hoax, Trudeau still says, well, she's brave and she's a victim. Why? Why? What if this led to actually to a man being arrested? You know, before it came out, if it didn't come out as a hoax, what if an Asian man in his mid-20s that vaguely fit the description that she put out there, she was just making out whole cloth. But what if a guy was apprehended and she wouldn't recant her story, which happens in a lot of rape accusations. Exactly that scenario. This guy his life would have been destroyed, as many men's lives are destroyed by false rape accusations. Even if they get off, they're still tarred and feathered. Now they want to change the legal system so they don't even have any due process. It's just like denunciation, jail. That's it. We'll have the pretense of a trial, and that's it. So now, and of course, by extension, they want to do the same with Aboriginals. They want to. There was a big deal made about it was an all-white jury. Well, it was an all-white jury, yes, partly because of peremptory challenges, which means that in jury selection, the judges can just throw out a juror without making a case to the judge by saying they should bar this juror. They can just decide they don't like them and have them tossed off. And the defense in this case used most of the peremptory challenges to get rid of Aboriginal jurors. But as it was noted, it was already from a very, very small pool. Yeah, there's a reason why it's from a very small pool. Because they're not taking part in their community. They live on the reserve. They get $9 billion a year from the federal government. And they still want us to apologize. Look, I've seen Aboriginal people that do very well in society. They admit that there is a genetic disposition for Indians, Aboriginals. God, I got to pick one. I know, for Indians to towards alcoholism, so they stay away from it. And they're productive. They're intelligent. They're hardworking. There's no and Indians that have come into the city or come in, integrated with, Western culture, and in this case Canada. Those are the successful Indians, and they are the first to admit that the reservation system is a disaster. They're the first to say that the government handouts are a disaster and that it's massively corrupt and the money only goes to band leaders anyway. So, Trudeau's apology and what's her face's Wilbo, whatever that chick's name is, I always forget it. the Justice Minister, she's talking about an affirmative action appointment. Totally unqualified for the position, but, she's going to rewrite Canada's justice system. Great. That's going to turn out well. It's stuff like that you really got to worry about. The gender neutral anthem is pathetic and stupid, but none of us have to sing it. Although, don't be surprised if they use Bill C-16 to try and force us to sing the gender neutral lyrics. But for the time being, we don't have to sing it. But changing our justice system, changing our criminal code along the lines of social justice warrior guidelines is not good. And Bill C-16 is, of course, that's the first, the beginnings of that. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. Again, please subscribe. If you haven't done also already, hit that red button. And I'm going to remind you again, just because I have to, because YouTube is on the warpath with me, trying to destroy my channel, trying to destroy my reach, trying to not allow commentary like this to get out there. Yeah, if you're a pedophile, you can make pedophile videos and they'll applaud it and let it get out there. But God forbid you talk about politics from a libertarian right-leaning slant. That's unforgivable. Anyways, okay, before I get another ramble, thanks for listening and watching, and until next time, this has been Bourbon and Bullets.